and thank you for joining us for what has been a rather interesting week here at Liquid. Interesting week because there's been a lot of information coming in from our side, and I just want us to keep today's conversation just focused on the conversation that we are supposed to be having for today. I know many of you, my media colleagues, will be wanting to ask so many questions that are responsive or reactionary to the information we've been sharing with you throughout this week. Why do I say we? Because today I'm speaking on behalf of Liquid Intelligent Technologies. My name is Arnold Quizera. I'll be your host and moderator for today's conversation. And the conversation today is the launch of OneVoice for Cloud PBX. Let me just give you a little bit of context where we're coming from and what the past 1.5 years, or would say 2 years, have been like. Now, globally, businesses have entirely overhauled their technology options and adapted their operations to meet the new demands of accelerated digital transformation. Now, technological advancements coupled with globally developing trends, including what has been the disruptive impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, have led companies to agreeing that remote or hybrid work is the future of business. We're talking about remote, hybrid. It's a reason as to why we're having this conversation the way we are having it today. Now, because of these requirements and arrangements, the old system of the traditional desk phone extension, or what is technically known as PBX, is no longer as relevant, and businesses have had to deal with numerous issues such as staff working in isolation, or even the shock of the bills. We're going into December. No one wants those shock of bills. Now, this change, in a way, and has created a new working style that has resulted in the evolution of numerous collaboration tools. Liquid is now launching its OneVoice for Cloud PBX. And this is a collaboration and UC tool that enables employees to remain connected even when they are working remotely. Now, I'm just giving you a little bit of what it is, but there are people who will explain this better than I. Now, without any further ado, before we get into our first speaker to help us set the ground for the rest of the conversation today, let me give you a few housekeeping rules. One, this conversation is being recorded and it will be available to you later on. You can use our hashtags. One, staying connected is key. The other one, Liquid PBX. The other being OneVoice. And if you have any questions, please share us the questions during you can use Zoom. Zoom has the talking part where you can type in your questions. I'll be able to pick up your questions from there and share them with our speakers and panelists for the day. I believe those are not too many rules and not too many things to ask of you. So let me invite our first speaker of the day, a great fan of the platform we're using today, Mr. David Baer, the Group Chief Digital Officer at Liquid Intelligent Technologies, to just break down for us what OneVoice for Cloud PBX is. The floor is yours, Mr. David Baer.
Hello. I hope you can all see me and hear me. I'm a little bit new to Zoom, so I'm also trying to find my way around. I believe you can see and hear me. I cannot see myself, but that's fine. Please shout if there's any problem there. So welcome everybody, and thank you very much for your time today that you've given us for this press conference. We know you're all very busy and there's a lot of competing articles and stories being told in the world. So thank you for giving a little bit of attention to our story. Sorry, it's now saying my screen is paused. Is that the case, or can you see my screen okay? Anybody?
You can see it, the OneVoice.
Okay, fantastic. We'll go on to you can see the first slide as well?
Yes.
Sorry, it's just that my Zoom is saying my screen sharing is paused, which is what gave me the concern there. So fantastic. So let me, I'm going to spend maybe about 5-10 minutes really painting a little bit of a picture of Liquid and in particular OneVoice that we're talking about today. Liquid Intelligent Technologies, as you know, is a large Pan-African technology provider. We are providing a number of services, not just your basic connectivity and voice services, but really a whole suite of technology services that can improve businesses across Africa. So we have launched a new family of products called OneVoice. Now, OneVoice is all about the new modern voice, the new way of communicating and collaborating. You know, historically, it's been much more about a separation between voice phone calls on your mobile phone or on your landline and the collaboration suites that you have from some of these large global cloud providers. What OneVoice does is starts to leverage bringing voice into everything that you do through a cloud mechanism. So instead of having two different applications, instead of having two different product suites that don't talk to each other, one for collaboration, for example, you're doing chats, you're working online, you're working on documents together, another one on voice, these two bring it together. And OneVoice is a suite of products, regardless of whether you are a Microsoft-focused business or an AWS one or a Google one, or you don't even have any of these global platforms yet. You can still make use of OneVoice because it is a set of different types of technologies all coming under one umbrella. And I think that's a key thing about OneVoice and why it's called OneVoice. It is OneVoice because it is available across multiple countries in Africa. We have an ambition to get to 54. We're starting with 6 today. We should be adding more in the future. But it's also OneVoice because we're bringing all of these different separate systems into one unified communications platform. And you hear a lot about unified communications. It's not a new idea, it's not a new concept, but the way that we as Liquid are delivering it, I do believe is unique and new globally, but also in particular in Africa. Now, you know very well that the COVID-19 has changed significantly. The environment has changed how people work, where they work from, how they collaborate. And this idea that you've got a place of work, so work is a place that you go to rather than something you do, has changed, right? So you can work from anywhere. You work from home, you can work from a cafe, you can work from absolutely anywhere. Sorry, I'm just hearing from Winston. I think that you're still on the first slide. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, I'm on my second slide. Okay, so let me move it back here to where it says you are now screen sharing. It's kind of weird because if I put it on my one screen, it stops, and if the second screen, it works. Can you see the OneVoice slide now?
Yeah. What is OneVoice?
Okay,
yes,
fantastic.
we can see that.
So anyway, that's very good because it means you've been focusing very much on my words, not on my slides. So, you know, we are really here at Liquid producing now a platform that, regardless of your requirements, whether you've still got that legacy on-prem PBX, which you're trying to move anyway now over to the cloud, whether you use Microsoft Teams, whether you use Zoom, whether you use your on-prem software, whatever you're using today, you can buy OneVoice and we'll deliver all these different types of extensions to you. What we're focusing on in today's session is two of the product families here. We're starting with two, Cloud PBX and Operator Connect. Cloud PBX is the focus of today's press briefing and what we are talking about launching today. Operator Connect is something that we actually launched about a month ago now. I think everyone's probably quite familiar with that. That is very much a Microsoft-centric one where we bring voice into Microsoft Teams. Today, we are expanding that reach by talking to customers that are not using Microsoft Teams today. So people who would like to have a fully fledged Cloud PBX in the cloud with all the capacity that you would have from the cloud, all the capabilities you have from the cloud, but are not necessarily at the point of wanting to use Microsoft Teams. So really it expands the base of people that we're going after quite considerably. Now, what is the big difference between the two? Both are in the cloud. Both are delivered with no hardware on your premises at all. Both can be bring the voice to your desktop and to your mobile phone. One, Operator Connect, is focused in bringing voice into Microsoft Teams. The other one, Cloud PBX, is our own soft client that we've built that you can download from all the popular app stores. And it is available for businesses of any size. It's cost effective for businesses of any size. and it can be used across any cloud service provider. So not linked just to Microsoft. It's not even linked to Liquid connectivity. It can be used across, regardless of the connectivity type you have, your Wi-Fi, your 3G, 4G, etc. So really, the possibilities are quite endless with Cloud PBX. And this is also where I wanted to reiterate the point about OneVoice, because it's the same platform that delivers Cloud PBX, that delivers Operator Connect. So you can now mix and match your extensions. So you can have a number of people in the organization that use Teams and OneVoice in their teams, and you can have a number in the organization that just use our own soft client called OneVoice Cloud PBX. So the idea now is that you can mix and match these in. You don't have to make a choice. And that's the beauty about it. You can have it available to you across multiple countries, multiple platforms, all from the same back-end systems from Liquid. And I think that is a unique position that we don't have, that we don't see others in the market doing. So just a quick update on where OneVoice Cloud PBX and Operator Connect is available. Today, it's available in Kenya, South Africa, Rwanda, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. As you can see here, talks about Microsoft Teams, but of course, also Cloud PBX is about bringing it where there is also not just a Teams client. Why OneVoice? There's a number of tremendously good reasons. First of all, you don't need anything on-prem. There is no CapEx requirement. There's no hardware that you need to purchase. You can use it on your existing mobile phone. You can use it on your desktop. You can have a physical phone on your desktop if you want to as part of the offering, but it's not a requirement. Nothing has to be physically on-prem at all. It, of course, suits very much Microsoft customers because that's the integration done with Teams. But if you're not a Microsoft customer, you can also buy this as a standalone without the integration into Teams. What kind of customers are looking for? Absolutely everybody. Enterprises, SMBs, multinationals. You might be an organization of just 1 or 2 people. You might want to separate out your phone numbers for your business from your personal one. You can buy this product. You could be a large multinational operating across multiple countries in the world, and you want to have one unified platform for all of your Africa business. This would work very well for you. The advantages here is we've got a large degree of automation. We've integrated it with Teams, as I said already. It is all about OpEx local billing. So your operational expenses are going to be localized. You can buy it in your local currency. You don't have to buy it all in foreign currency. We are Liquid. Something that people sometimes forget is that Liquid is one of the largest voice carriers in the continent. We have relationships with all the tier 1 operators. Therefore, our interconnects are superb. They're very high quality. And therefore, you will get a high definition call, a high definition voice call when you are doing OneVoice. We obviously do support 24/7, 365. We have got managed services. We can get you up and running. We can manage your whole UC platform. And those are just some of the key advantages. Really agility, cost savings that come part of OneVoice. So thank you very much. I hope that gives you a bit of a flavor of what we're talking about today. And I believe now we've got a panel. I hand back to our moderator.
Thank you, David. Not bad for your first time on Zoom to be able to use the Zoom functionality. But yeah, in the future, maybe that is most likely to change. Thank you for that. But I just want you to keep your camera on, and I would like to ask a few other people to do something similar, to open their cameras, because we're going to have a quick panel session and just try to break down, dissect, expound on some of the things that you've hinted on. One of the things I would like to, the people I would like to start to bring into the conversation, I would like to bring Mr. Richard Were. He's the head of shared services at Liquid Intelligent Technologies. I would also like to introduce Mr. Stanley Magede, the CTO of Liquid Intelligent Technologies in Rwanda. I would introduce Mr. Mike Siachietema. He's the head of products and solutions. Mr. Hamilton Manika, regional chief commercial officer for Liquid Intelligent Technologies for Southern Africa. Mr. Yves Nkanda, senior specialist specialist, managed service Liquid Intelligent to Go. A thumbs up if you're good to go, all of us. Voila. Cool. Let me have our David. David, if you don't mind, you can stop sharing your slides. And I want to start with you, David, please. So
I thought I did stop sharing. Can you confirm it stopped sharing? I can't really tell.
You've stopped sharing, David.
Yes, you've stopped sharing. It now shows. Yeah. David, I want to start with you, right? This is a rather interesting product, the OneVoice for Cloud PBX, and interesting in the way that you hinted on it, on what it entails, yeah. But then we want to know what are the unique selling points, what are the unique needs for it. So, how have and here let's have the pandemic in mind as well. How have the unique client needs changed because of the disruptions occasioned by the pandemic? Has Liquid in a way altered its business model to accommodate these transformations? And if so, how have you gone about them?
Okay, so I think, to sum it up, I would say there are three changes that have happened in the last couple of years. We had COVID, which means people now need to be able to work from everywhere, right? There's no concept of my landline sitting on my desk at the office. I need to have that communication wherever I happen to be at the moment. Also, of course, as people get sick, you need to have your colleagues take over from you. So you need to be able to very easily move those numbers around between people and change the routing of them pretty much on the fly. You don't want to be sending somebody to the office to go do some reconfigs so someone can get someone's extension being answered by them. So COVID is a big thing that has made a big change to us. The second thing is, I think globally, everyone is under more cost pressure now than ever before. How do we become more efficient? How do we save more money? How do we do more with less? So something like OneVoice talks to exactly that, because we are now unifying the communications. We are reducing your costs. You can spend less money on your mobile package. I think what we see is a lot of companies give their staff a mobile allowance for phone calls. Well, guess what? Under OneVoice, you don't need to, because that is in effect the company expense. And because of our cost savings and packages that we do bundles of minutes, it becomes more cost effective. So cost savings, more efficiency, more agility is a key one. And the third one is integrating all the different types of channels that you use to connect with your customers and with your vendors. And so voice is still a very important one. People like to often say voice is reducing, is disappearing, but you know what? It's just changing. We communicate now more than ever before. We do it in a different way, but communications, particularly through collaboration, has gone up through the roof. You still need voice in everything you're going to be doing. Now, the PSTN, that's the public phone system, is as important as ever, right? Not everyone is all on the same platform. We can't do everything on Zoom. People are going to want to dial into these things. You're going to reach your customers that may not have the facilities that you might do as an enterprise with your UC. So it really, by integrating all the different ways in which you communicate with the customer, you've got one central place where you can do it. And by the way, when you bring all this through the cloud, you unlock a lot of cloud capabilities. You can do your call recording in the cloud. You can do analysis on the calls in the cloud. You can check the sentiment. Is the caller feeling happy or not happy? You can do all the big data on it as well. You can track it for compliance purposes. You've got everything all compliant because you can measure it and record it and track it in the cloud. So I would say those are the big ones.
Thank you, David. And again, thank you for your introductory remarks. Just a reminder to those on here, if you want to tweet out anything or use any kind of social media platform, please don't forget to use those hashtags, hashtag OneVoice, hashtag Cloud PBX, and use the chat as well on here to ask any questions that may be lingering. Anything that you want to find out, this panel of experts is just right here to break this down for us so that we can break it down for our audiences. Now I want to go to my second question, and I want to bring Mr. Mike Siachitema, the head of products and solutions from Liquid Zambia, into the conversation. Mike, thank you for making the time. What are the benefits of OneVoice for Cloud PBX?
Thanks for that question, Arnold. I think some of the things have already been alluded to, but I'll still go over them. The first one being the fact that we're moving the traditional desktop into the cloud. So as opposed to the previous environment where you had to come into the office and actually use your desk phone, this time it's in the cloud, and this enhances a lot of things like I would explain. So one of the things that this obviously makes available to users is collaboration. We're obviously using Teams, and once you have this functionality, you're able to now do more things like SharePoint, work on documents simultaneously, and this actually enhances productivity and increases efficiencies for businesses. So also from the point of view of moving the traditional desktop into the cloud, we also enhance mobility, meaning you can literally work from anywhere and you're able to still make your calls and you're still able to work efficiently with your team. One of the other advantages is that this is a cloud-based and software-driven product, meaning that you also have scalability here. So we have customers who are operating a small business, and maybe as they grow, they would want to expand and the number of people that are using the service. And because it's a cloud-based solution, you're able to scale up really quickly and connect more users. Another important point is the fact that it offers peace of mind to customers. Remember, this is a managed service. So Liquid then takes care of all the problems that you may encounter with the solution. This is not to say that you're going to have a lot of problems with it. It's a very efficient solution, but we take away the headache that you may have as a customer, and it's a totally managed service. So you have peace of mind as a customer. And I think the last point I would want to touch on is the fact that, look, we are in a rapidly changing business environment, and businesses need to be more agile to be able to adapt to the changing environment. And this can be more emphasized, obviously, with the COVID-19 pandemic. Businesses have had to adapt, and this is a solution that helps with quickly adapting to the new ways of doing business, which is enhancing mobility and also enhancing collaboration. So in a nutshell, these are the benefits that this solution brings to customers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Richard. Richard, I just want to stay with you just a little bit, right? David expounded on it, but maybe you could also help us break that down further in regards to what cloud PBX is. That particular part, PBX, because to many of my colleagues, it's a new terminology. So cloud PBX, what does that stand for?
Sorry, could you just repeat that question? Who's that for?
Mike, let me stay with you. I was staying with Mike right here. It's regarding the PBX part of cloud PBX. You know, for many of my colleagues, we are getting into this conversation, but I feel like we're running. So before we run, let's just walk for a minute. What is, PBX in particular, if you could expand? I know David hinted on it a little bit, but what does the PBX stand for in cloud PBX? Mike?
Hi, Arnold, is that mine?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so the PBX is simply hinting on the fact that the solution is a public business solution for customers.
Okay, thank you, Mike. So I'd like to go to bring you to our next guest, and that's Hamilton, Mr. Hamilton Manika, Regional Chief Commercial Officer for Liquid Intelligent Technologies, Southern Africa. And Mike, my question to you would be, how have the unique client needs changed because of the disruptions occasioned by the pandemic? Very similar to what I asked David, but it doesn't hurt to hear from the Chief Commercial Officer, because I believe you understand the client better.
Thank you very much, Arnold, for that. So what we have seen is with the onset of the pandemic, there have been serious disruptions in the business, particularly in terms of how we do business. What does this mean? We had this whole perception that when you are working, you're actually going to a specific place. Now, pandemic comes in and you're now wondering whether you now have to be going to the same place. You're then expected to be social distancing. You're expected to be doing all these necessary protocols that needs to be observed. So in relation to that, what is the implication of the business? The business still needed to continue, but under very different circumstances. So you then find that the business has now changed the way it has now looked at collaboration. It's one of those key important factors in a business to ensure that the teams are collaborating for the purpose of ensuring that the results are coming out. But now we have got a hybrid environment where one has to be in the office, another one has to be anywhere else, maybe at home or maybe in transit. So this is where you are now then seeing that those changes have now been accelerated because of the pandemic that came in. And with that acceleration, it therefore meant that the need for connectivity became so increased and very relevant. The need for seamless cooperation of the different tools that are required also became very urgent. The need for the cloud-based computing also became very relevant in that environment. You understand that a few years back, cloud-based computing is something that we talk about, but without necessarily seeing exactly where does it fit in our day-to-day lives. So with the pandemic, that has accelerated all that, including the solutions that need to address the requirements of the different businesses. So to that extent, you then realize that as liquid intelligent technologies, we now had to look at that and say, how do we take our customers through this disruptive environment, but at the same time still achieving the core expectations and the core targets of the business. So this is where you're seeing that this OneVoice is coming in, the cloud PBX is coming in, because with that hybrid environment, we're now taking out the people from a usual place to working from anywhere where they are. And because of that, you are now seeing that a lot of the dependence is now on the internet. As long as one has got the internet, they've got the computer or even the phone itself, this service is enabling them to do so. And if a customer is trying to get hold of any of the business representatives, it's easier to be done through this particular facility that we are talking about today. While this has also come in, resulting in all these disruptions, that also raised a requirement or expectations around cybersecurity. Because traditionally, we've always been designing our solutions in an environment that is secure as a local area environment. But now you've got this disruption coming in. People are now having to work from anywhere. It therefore meant that data is now resident on the edge devices. So all those things introduce the elements of the cybersecurity coming through. And as liquid intelligent technologies, we have not only just stopped on just designing this particular solution that we are launching today, we also have got other supporting services like your cybersecurity, which is meant to ensure that we are addressing a holistic end-to-end requirements of the business, and at the same time ensuring that the productivity required by the business is always top-notch. So this is why you find that we have transformed ourselves from just a telecommunications provider to being a one-stop shop for the technology requirements. So essentially, these are the vital parts that we are putting together in as much as we are talking about this particular service that we are launching, but there's a lot more that is supporting that to give the flexibility to the business, to give also the confidence and the security required on our customers that will be using this particular service. You're on mute, Arnold.
Thank you very much, Hamilton, and thank you for that breakdown. Interesting that you bring in the conversation regarding cybersecurity, because it has become more relevant of late. Just to put it, give a little bit of context about it, a report that was released recently said that a McKinsey report said East Africa alone, East African banks alone had lost $6.4 billion to cyber fraud within the first 6 months of the year. So maybe this could be the solution. This is potentially the hybrid solution. I want to move on to our next question. And I want to bring Mr. Richard Were, the head of shared services at Liquid Intelligent Technologies, into the conversation. Richard, many markets are still faced with the challenge of low internet penetration numbers. Now, could this solution help accelerate that?
Thank you, Arnold. I think this is a very important question, in the sense that connectivity is the bedrock for digital transformation. And cloud is just one of the solutions under digital transformation, including the big data, the analytics. Now, how does OneVoice for Cloud PBX contribute towards resolving the problem of low internet penetration? One of the major reasons, actually the major reason of low internet penetration or low connectivity penetration, is the cost of building infrastructure. Connectivity infrastructure is quite CapEx intensive. It takes a lot of capital to invest, both for enterprises and wholesale and carriers like Liquid Telco. So with OneVoice for Cloud PBX, the organization releases its resources that could have traditionally gone to investing on-premise calling system, the PBX, what my colleague has defined earlier. Now, this cost associated with the cost of procuring, installing, supporting, maintaining, licensing, all these. Now, by going for the cloud PBX from Liquids, where we offer the OneVoice for Cloud PBX, we release the resources from enterprise point of view. Now, they are able to invest these released resources, which could have otherwise gone to investing on-premise boxes or hardware for purposes of making phone system, to go to the other aspects of the business, their core business. And one of that aspects becomes investing on connectivity infrastructure. And that helps, that contributes to development or building of affordable infrastructure.
Thank you, Richard. Richard, just to stay with you there a little bit, if you could give us from a country perspective, right? How could this help in the country that you're in? How could this help also accelerate, that internet penetration? Just similar question, but to that country.
Just pardon the question, I have not got it clearly.
So, Richard, I believe you're in Kenya at the moment. Yes. Okay. So, Kenya has been held previously for, the use of digital services, but internet penetration numbers are still below the desired target of SDGs 2030. So, how could this solution help accelerate that in reference to Kenya in particular?
Oh, thank you. So I'll put it in two perspectives. So the first perspective is that one reason of low internet penetration is of course the cost, and the cost is associated with access. Access comes both in the form of infrastructure access, which is quite CapEx intensive. Now, by releasing the CapEx, which could have traditionally gone into investing on communication, voice communication, and using the cloud resources, we release resources that allow us to invest on connectivity infrastructure. This reaches more population and more people are able to be brought into the internet economy, are able to have access to the internet. But another interesting side of it is that by having this cloud PBX, it justifies the need for internet, and there is a business case for investing on the internet. I'm from Kenya, but today I'm joining the session from a very remote part of Kenya, very, very far off. Now, this shows the need for internet penetration, and it puts a business case for justification for use. Initially, yes, there is need for connectivity. The second reason why it has been low is that it's been considered as more as a good to have, not as an essential thing to have. Now, integrating cloud communication or voice communication using internet services puts a justified case, the way David had mentioned earlier, that people will be communicating more and more and more and more, but technology of communicating changes. So those are the two areas in which it's practically contributing to the Kenyan economy.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. I could easily sell ISO Eskimos there. I just want to bring Mr. Yves Kanda, the manager, telephony and collaboration products, into the conversation as well. Yves, why is OneVoice for Cloud PBX important for employers, both in the short and long term?
Arnold, hi, and thank you very much for that question. I think OneVoice is ideal for effectively a business looking to create cohesion between its workforce in the short term, and it's also very effective in terms of creating effective collaboration long term, regardless of the size of the business. So effectively, you can start with an employee today, 2 employees, 8 employees, and you can scale as you need. and that business will effectively benefit from having a central system to manage all the file sharing, all the meetings, be it email, video, and it will even extend to making phone calls.
If I'm staying with you there, that expansion of businesses, it sounds good and ideal for startups. So to one, most startups, when they look at a solution coming out of a company like Liquid, there's a pushback. They believe this is gigantic. It's centered for a certain market, right? Does this mean, and I want it in your own words, does this mean that this is a solution for everyone, for a one-person company, a two-people company? And how does that help them to create sustainable working systems without necessarily having the CEO or the founder having to do the same thing over and over again with different employees or new team members?
Traditionally, when an organization is looking at adopting a PBX, they would look at an on-premise PBX. And the challenge that you have is you have to either speak for where you are today and purchase an on-premise PBX and you pay X amount. And as you grow as a business, you then have to spend additional CapEx to grow the capabilities on that PBX. What having a cloud-based PBX offers you is effectively the ability to purchase per seat. So if you're a small business, and I think most of us Africans have an entrepreneurial spirit to us. If you're a small business and you're starting today, having a cloud PBX and the ability to buy a single license immediately gives you credibility because you have a landline number. And the perception is that if there's a landline number, then it's a legitimate business. As you grow as a business, you being an entrepreneur, as you grow to 5, 8, 10, 100, or even 1,000, irrespective of what segment you're in, the application because it's cloud-based, the cost of that PBX is spread across multiple customers. So a customer of any size has the ability to effectively compete with a large conglomerate and operate like a large conglomerate at the cost, effectively at a price that is cost effective to them and per seat.
Thank you, Yves. Just a reminder to our participants, journalists, and again, thank you for joining us. Please use the Q&A option to ask all your questions. We'll be diving into those shortly. Don't forget to introduce yourself and the platform or media house that you are representing. Those who are using Twitter, Instagram, and all other social media platforms, use those hashtags, hashtag OneVoice, hashtag CloudPBX. Now, I would like to move on into what is probably my last question, but I don't think it will be my last because I'll be coming back to you guys a little bit later on. And I want to bring Mr. Stanley Magede into the conversation. Mr. Stanley Magede is the CTO of Liquid Intelligent Technologies in Rwanda. Madam Stanley. Now, regarding this solution, now, could this be affected by, and this is a very important one, by what seems like the ever-increasing conversations around nationalistic data policies that we have seen being proposed of late across various parliaments and governing bodies on the continent?
Madam Arnold, and thank you for that question. It's also a very, very important question to discuss around this time. So nationalistic policies are really a big issue, and here we're talking about prohibitive country regulatory laws, and it's always a big issue with investors because potential investors are reluctant to put in money in countries where the regulations are inward-looking and are prohibitive in terms of dealing with other nations. But I also just wanted to bring in the aspect of the Africa Free Continental Trade Area, which was launched, I think, 3 years ago in Kigali, which is trying to, to remove barriers to trade and investment and have investors view Africa as a common investment block. And I believe with that approach, if it is also applied in terms of data, it will actually help to unlock more investment in Africa and ensure that Africa gets solutions that are cheaper for the population and modern technologies. Because the advantages of cloud is that people can build bigger solutions in a centralized fashion and be able to access different markets regardless of the borders. So having nationalistic policies is actually increasing the costs to the end customer at the end of the day. So we actually urge countries to review their policies and make sure that potential investments in advanced collaborative tools like OneVoice and Cloud PBX can actually continue to come in Africa.
I want to stay with you there. I want to stay with you there, Mr. Stanley Magede. When you look at the issues regarding data collection and countries insisting on setting up maybe in-house, and then we're talking about multinationals. You've talked about AFCFTA happening, which is a great opportunity for African multinationals to grow further. Is it a case of having your cake and eating it too for the policymakers? And how does this help to move that conversation of AFCFTA and help the continent as well, increase intra-Africa trade and help leapfrog as a solution?
Yeah, so I think the AFCFTA is a very good initiative, and we applaud it as a multi or as a Pan-African business. I believe we need to continue having discussions with the leadership of the African Union and different countries, just to make sure that the AFCFTA increases in terms of its scope. So instead of just looking at trade and investment and removing borders for trade and investment or for people movement, we are also saying let it encompass an open data regime as to treat Africa as one block which will help to unlock more investment into the continent.
Thank you very much, Stanley. There, I just want to bring someone else into this conversation, and I want to ask him to open his camera. Mr. Winston Ritson. Mr. Winston is the Chief Business Development Officer at Liquid Cloud and Cyber Security, and the questions around cybersecurity have quite come up. Now, David earlier mentioned that OneVoice has Cloud PBX and Operator Connect, but I want you to tell us more and expound regarding Operator Connect and how businesses in all 6 countries can benefit from it.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Arnold. My camera should be on.
Yes, it is on now. Okay. Yes, can see you live. I can hear you loud and clear.
Brilliant. So thank you for that intro and thank you for the question. So OneVoice for Operator Connect is really a new product on the African market, and Liquid has exclusively come to the market as a first mover with Microsoft. And what we are doing is basically sewing up your traditional voice systems, your PBXs, your landlines, those sort of things, and bringing it into the cloud and cloudifying your voice. But at the same time, we're leveraging the power of Microsoft Office suites. So a lot of companies around the world are really comfortable with Office. They're really comfortable with administering their users in Office. And more importantly, they're comfortable using Teams. What we've done with Operator Connect is bring Teams and bring a traditional voice into a single solution. So today, an enterprise, an SME, a multinational can go online, place an order for OneVoice for Operator Connect, get a range of numbers, and self-allocate, self-manage, and manage the cost of those. So what we've done is we've gone to market with a all-you-can-eat bundle in terms of the number of minutes, because we believe there's truly the time to look at voice as we look at the rest of our cloud solutions as in it's a service. We should take this discussion off the table for businesses around how many minutes does each user use, for how long do they call, and just make it as simple as how many seats do you need and how many people do you need to have a voice extension in your business. Don't buy them a mobile phone, don't buy them a device on their table, just use your current Teams client to make voice calls. That really is what OneVoice for Operator Connect is doing for the business today.
Thank you, Winston, and thank you for that breakdown. All you can eat bundle in terms of solutions. I might take away from what Winston has expounded on. There are a few questions that have come in. I've seen David trying to answer to most of them via the chat, but I just want to give a chance to those that have not been able to see the questions via the Q&A chat. I'm going to go with the first question coming in from the news diggers in Zambia. And it's a question to Mike. Mike, how will this solution help small businesses in Zambia, considering the connectivity challenges in the country made worse by recent power disruptions from load shedding? He can barely hang on to his connection right now. So I hope the representative of News Diggers Zambia, you are still there with us and able to get Mike's answer. Mike?
Yeah, I think power remains a problem, but things are improving. However, I'd like to say that even in Zambia, in terms of the stability of the connection, even just for the liquid network, it's actually very good. However, the problem with power, I think, is something that affects all of us, and we do hope that this does improve. However, with stable power connections and with a 3G connection, you're able to use the solution.
Thank you there, Mike. I hope News Diggers, you're still there and you've gotten the answer to your question. The next question is to you, David. I see you answered it via the chat, but if we would love to listen to your voice one more time. How can this new solution support the promotion of SMEs in a country like Zambia and maybe Africa at large, considering the country's focus to grow their economies by developing the SMEs sector?
Yeah, look, what I think it can do is it can give you an ability to be local but act global, right? You have the same facilities and same features that a large multinational would typically have in the old days of an on-prem PBX, right? So to do some of these features like call forwarding, voicemail, call recording, analysis, these things would require quite a big capital investment. Now with this in place, call transfer, there's a bunch of options that you've got there. Call queues, for example, another very good one, automated attendant. All of these things would have cost a significant amount of capex in the old days. Now all is available to you for a small monthly fee with no setup costs and no capex. So that really allows you as a one-man band, two-man band, doesn't matter how small you are, you can have the same communications infrastructure as a large multinational.
Thank you, David. Quite bring about equity in competition. Our next question is coming in from the one Michael Ouma from UptonTech.com. He goes ahead to ask, apart from the benefits to users, what's the cost of deploying the OneVoice solution, both for SMEs and large corporates? Quite the question. That question is coming up quite a lot. David, you asked which country. I believe Michael Ouma Omondi is in Kenya. Michael, you could correct me if I'm wrong in the chat there, but I want to throw that question to Richard Were. Richard, apart from the benefits to users, what's the cost of deploying the OneVoice solution, both for SMEs and large corporates?
Thank you, Mr. Ouma, and thank you, Arnold. Now, first, there are always normally two costs. There is the one-off cost, the project cost of the initial investment that you put into a technology, and then there is the recurrent cost. So the first is the one-off cost. We're using your current internet infrastructure as it is. So it's technically zero cost to deploy. You only pay for as you use. You pay for what you use. The way my colleague gives had mentioned, for the number of seats which are equal to the number of users that you have, and the operational costs or the cost that you pay is one is the license cost that you pay, and two is the voice minutes that you consume. Now, the good thing with Liquid is that with our global partnership and leveraging on relationship we have with all mobile carriers or all voice carriers, we're able to give you very competitive rates. So, and also part of the OneVoice on the cloud PBX is Liquid's own investment. So the end result is that to the end clients, it depends on the number of seats that you are taking. You have zero upfront investments. You only pay for what you use when you use it. But you also have a reporting or a management dashboard from which you can monitor the usage pattern of your staff, know what are necessary and necessary calls. And further than that, there is free on-net calls. When you're calling someone on Teams and you're calling someone on Liquid Intelligent Technologies Network, you have free calls you're making. So there is significant saving from the current operating cost of a normal on-premise communication platform.
Thank you there, Richard. Richard, I just want to stay with you for just one more question, right? And you've touched a little bit of it at the end of that answer, but if you could expound further into it, we're going into December, and to many, December is a time of the salaries coming too early, companies pay too early, and usually the next paycheck coming in from some clients may come, realistically speaking, sometime in February or early March for many companies or many SMEs. So the issue around the bills, let's say I'm a 4-man team, could I get a shocker?
Yes, very, very good question. Very, very important question. So you will never get a shocker for two reasons. So one, you will have a platform, a portal from which you are able to manage and see real time what you're using, and you're able to regulate. One of the main reasons of digital transformation is what I can call democratization of technology. We remove it from the old mentality of the engineers back in the office in the corner is the one who has visibility, to everyone having power at his hands. So you have this visibility on your cell phone, no shock at any given time. You know what you will get at the end of the day. Now, this part of Liquid solutions is that they come with a managed service component in appreciation and recognition that we need to manage the total cost of ownership together with the client along this journey, so that you don't get surprise costs, surprise days. So Liquid will also proactively notify you after rightly scoping the right solution at the right cost for your needs. So you definitely not get a shocker, and you only pay for what you consumed at very good prices.
Thank you very much there, Richard. I want to go to our next question coming in from the media. It's coming in from Rose Moyo. Rose Moyo is an editor of Techno Mag, Zimbabwe's pioneer online television and #1 technology magazine and website. The question is, you have made this a subject to scrutiny by Zimbabwe's cyber bill, and if so, doesn't that bring a lot of intrusion to your service as a provider? That's his first question. The next one, how then are you balancing satisfying your customer base at the same time not allowing government to intrude on your clients' services? I want to throw this to maybe David, and if someone on the panel feels like they want to jump in as well, please feel free. David, I think you've not had my question, the question coming in from Rose, so let me repeat that.
Yeah, sorry, the sound is worse than it was before. I don't know why, but I think I'm hearing you okay.
Can you hear me clear?
Yeah, that's a bit better.
Okay. Yeah, so Rose Moyo from Zimbabwe's pioneer online television and #1 technology magazine, which is Technomag, asks a question that have you made that you've made this OneVoice launch, you've made it a subject to scrutiny by Zimbabwe's cyber bill, and if so, doesn't that bring a lot of intrusion to your service as a provider? Then how then are you balancing satisfying your customer base at the same time not allowing governments to intrude on your clients' services?
So I did answer that already. I said all our services are compliant with local laws. I don't see a link between satisfied customers and local cybersecurity laws. I mean, they don't affect the customer quality, the customer experience. I'll be quite honest with you, I don't know the ins and outs of what Ross is talking about. I haven't read the bill, but I do know that our local team are very involved in this, and they make sure that they whatever services we are offering are fully compliant with the laws of the country. And I don't believe that has an impact on our customer experience.
Thank you, David. I wanted to ask if someone on the panel, could also feel free to expound on that question, just in relation to, your particular countries.
All right. Thanks, Arnold, for that. So I think it's essentially the same response that David has given. But I think just to add, there is the way we do business as Liquid Intelligent Technologies is to ensure that in every country that we operate in, we are compliant with the laws of the land. So before we actually come up with any product and all that, we do the necessary background work to ensure that there is that alignment that is required, so that at the end of the day, the product that we are taking to the market is already aligning with all the expectations. So yes, we are looking at a product that is going to enhance customer satisfaction, ability of the customer to do the efficiency that is required for the business, and at the same time, fully compliant with all the laws of the land.
Thank you very much, Hamilton, and thank you for that answer. I hope it answers Rose. David as well, thank you for that answer. I want to take our last question, probably of the day as we wrap up this session. And I want to throw it to Mike. Mike, bring you back into the conversation. I need more information. Where can I go to? Where can I find more information on Cloud PBX OneVoice?
Okay, so we obviously have that information on our website, which we can share with anyone who's willing to get this information from us. But also, I do note that this question is coming from news diggers. We'll be also able to share this information with other journalists as well.
Thank you very much there. Thank you, Mike. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you for as well making the time for this conversation. Just a few key takeaways for me from this conversation. Now, peace of mind for the customer. This brings about a peace of mind. We're at a time when you're talking about mental health. We've come from a pandemic. So this solution brings about a peace of mind. It brings about efficiency of businesses as they adapt to new ways, efficiency, effectiveness, as David likes to call it. Businesses have also changed how they collaborate because of the hybrid working environment. So this enables that hybrid working environment to take place. It's ideal for startups, small businesses, and they could start with just one employee, and it makes them equally as competitive. It gives credibility to your business out there, equal footing for startup businesses, and my favorite of the day, because I'm a foodie, all you can eat bundles in terms of solutions, all you can eat bundles in terms of the solutions that it provides. Thank you very much. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you, the media, for making the time to be with us. I see, let me check if we still have a few more questions out there. Just give me a second to check the hashtag so that I don't leave anyone out. I don't leave anyone out. Don't seem to have many questions there coming in from our online sessions. But again, as Mike mentioned, please go check out the website. And thank you for your time. Thank you for making the time. Madam say bonjour, good morning, guten morgen, siyabonga, habari, niaje, have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.